And you're back again for number 16, Safe Routes to School.
Yes. So I used to have a previous director that I worked for that described public works as roads to commodes. In the situation, we're going from water to roads. So next up is the Safe Routes to School plan, and we're asking for adoption of the plan. So the city received a Caltrans Sustainable Communities grant in the amount of $221,325 for the development of a Safe Routes to School plan to specifically analyze the 15 schools in the Yuba City Unified School District. So in November 2018, council awarded a contract to Alta Planning and Design to develop the plan. Here's the list of schools that were included in the analysis. As you can see, there aren't any charter or private schools included in this list, and that was actually one of the things as part of the public workshop that we held in January that Councilman Shaw asked, well, where are the charter schools and the private schools? That's something that we will address through an amendment to the plan. Our intention was to do that earlier this year. With COVID hitting, prevents us from being able to do the necessary studies and outreach that we would need to do to include them. So the city staff worked with Alta and Alta sub-consultant Walk Sacramento to conduct community outreach, document existing needs, and identify and recommend potential infrastructure improvements, routes for walking and biking, and education programs for schools. And the Safe Routes to School program aims to meet core goals and remove barriers to safe walking and bicycling through the 6 E's. And those are engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, evaluation, and equity. So the elements of the plan that are shown here on the screen take those 6 E's into consideration. Through the development of the plan, projects were analyzed based on safety, population served, equity, community support, and cost effectiveness to establish a list of the top 20 projects. The projects include striping, signage, sidewalks, pedestrian actuated flashing beacons, and refuge islands. And one thing that I want to note is if you look at the schools, you'll see that it's a lot of the older schools. So Gray Avenue, Park Avenue, April Lane, King Avenue. You do have a River Valley for both some upgraded bikeway and striping and signage, but you'll notice a lot of Park Avenue items on here, and then Lindcrest. Going to the next, the 11 through 20, again, you've got Lindcrest, Gray Avenue, King Avenue, Park Avenue, Bridge Street, April Lane. So a lot of these, and you would expect that in the older part of towns, in that they would need more upgrades related to striping, or there's areas where sidewalks are missing, or the ramps are outdated. And so through this plan, we were able to identify those projects. So as part of the plan, it provides a recommended improvement map where they looked out a half-a-mile radius from the schools. And the reason I brought up Park Avenue Elementary School is because on those top 20 projects, you noticed a lot of the projects were associated with the school. And so the recommendations are to install pedestrian hybrid beacon at Clark and Morton, install pedestrian refuge island also at Clark and Morton, install high visibility crosswalks on all 4 legs at Park and Morton, and then install curb extensions, ADA compliant curb ramps, upgrade to high visibility crosswalks, install double yellow center line. There's a lot of issues with how parents are parking right here. Install sidewalks along Marcia, former county area that's annexed into the city, didn't have sidewalks, and then install advanced yield signs. And so there's a map for each one of the schools like this in the plan. In addition, there's a map for suggested routes that would the schools can utilize to give to their parents to say, hey, if you live in this area, this is the suggested route to bike or walk to the school. Bridge Street Elementary is very interesting because Bridge Street has such a large volume of traffic, and parents and kids aren't very patient. And so we have issues with people trying to cross Bridge Street, and we're really trying to encourage them to use signalized intersections to cross Bridge Street. So how will this plan be used? The city will be able to leverage the plan to apply for grants. We've already submitted 2 grant applications based on the recommendations from the plan. So one is a FRACMID Blue Sky grant, and the FRACMID Grant Committee recently approved $45,000 to procure a rapid flashing beacon. for the Clark Morton intersection, along with related striping improvements at Clark Morton and Park Clinton. The ADA ramps that were noted in the map will have to be funded through a different funding source. We've also submitted through Caltrans the HSIP, which is Highway Safety Improvement Program. We submitted 4 different applications, with number 1 being improved signal hardware at 38 signalized intersections. So those are the signalized intersections at city intersections, and that would be to install new back plates, replace 8-inch bulbs with 12-inch bulbs, replace LED internally illuminated street name signs, and install reflective tape. The second application was to install upgrade signs with new fluorescent sheeting and roadway safety signing audit. The third application is crosswalk improvements at 15 unsignalized intersections, which happen to correspond with a lot of the school locations. And then number 4 is to improve signal hardware at 17 state highway signalized intersections. And so this plan is going to provide us a lot of resources because it checks a lot of boxes in terms of the studies, the community outreach, the coordination with parent groups, the teachers, the principals, and we're very excited to adopt this plan. Next steps, like I mentioned earlier, would be to conduct a similar analysis for private and charter schools within Yuba City, and also coordinate with Yuba City Unified School District to implement the plan. As much as I talked about the physical improvements that are included in the plan, there's a lot related to programs that the school can implement to provide education to their parents and the kids on the best routes to school, the best way to cross, those types of things to try to maintain the safety of the kids. And with that, the recommendation is to adopt a resolution adopting the Safe Routes to School plan.
Great program. Thank you very much. And I love the ability to leverage other stuff too. That's really nice. Any public comment on the item? Yes, Tom, come on up. Anything on the computer waiting by chance, Sierra?
No comments
Nothing.
online.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Tom.
So that sounds great to me. I wanted to say, you know, I drive around quite a bit, like probably all of you guys do, and I mean, sometimes I try to do the speed limit, maybe a few miles over to keep people off my back, but I have been passed on the right, passed down the middle, and you know, so it seems as time goes on, it's getting more and more reckless out there a little bit with drivers. And many a time I've been on my way to work and might see a young girl or a young boy and girl walking to school, and have said to myself that it's a beautiful thing to be able to have your kids walk to school unmolested, you know what I mean? And not have to worry about them. So anything to improve that, I'm all for it, and I'm glad to see it. That's my comments.
I agree. Thank you very much. All right, so we have action item on the table here.
I have a comment for Diane first.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Diana, was that the presentations we went to last year, like at Lincrest School? And
It was early this year, believe it or not, yeah.
was it early this year?
Yeah.
I thought it was late, like last year. Okay, that was a great presentation that they gave, and then this is what they came to.
Right,
The folks put all their suggestions in, and then this is what we're doing for them.
right.
Thank you. Seeing that,
Actually, hold off,
oh, you
please.
want to do too?
Through the mayor. Ms. Langley, first of all, thank you for recognizing that night when I brought it up about the charter schools and the private schools, because in my opinion, as one of 5, we didn't do justice to this whole thing because we get so many kids that go to private and charter schools that need just as much safety as Yuba City Unified does. And I was in dismay that we didn't include them in the initial because they're part of our community. I agree with the priorities up there. I drive up Gray Avenue every day. You can't even hardly see the crosswalk at April Lane. It's bad. And so it has to be redone. But I'm curious about, and I realize COVID threw us for a loop. We weren't able to get the kids going to school to get the counts. But how will this priority list change as we go forward? Because I can think of, you got Park Avenue, but to the west, you got St. Isidore's, and to the east, you've got Yuba City Charter, and those are in the old section of town. And you've got the same issues with crosswalks and restriping and everything else. So as they amend this down the line, will there be a different prioritization ranked upon the overall necessity, not holding up the current projects? And will we also be working with those schools, because they don't report to Yuba City Unified, to do outreach to their students and their parents in the future?
Yes, it'll be the same level of effort in terms of, because the scope of work would be the same as what we did for this. In terms of the priority, those projects would be analyzed based upon the same criteria. So that was safety, population served, equity, community support, and cost effectiveness. So some of those projects might not rank as high just based upon the number that they serve. But it's our intent to try to, especially the easier projects in terms of striping or things that can be implemented pretty quickly, to try to address those quickly. It's the larger projects where you might have to go in and put sidewalks on an entire street. Those will be the ones that will be more delayed.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And you answered what I was after, is if we have a priority, say, in front of St. Isidore's, it's not just going to fall at the end of the list. It may fall to number 5.
Right.
It's going to be ranked on the same criteria. And when we get the kids back in school, do they have any idea? I mean, I'm asking for you to tell us when everything is going to go back to normal, I realize, but is this something that once we kind of get children back to school and stuff, that they will do this amendment and it takes a couple of months to do?
It takes longer than that. So this one took a little bit over a year from the time that council awarded the contract to when the plan was finalized. And so you're going to have, since we're looking at charter and private, you're still going to have quite a few schools to evaluate. You're still going to be coordinating. It's not that you have necessarily a superintendent that you're going to. Either you're going to be dealing with multiple principals, multiple parent groups. And so the level of effort and time would probably be very similar in terms of it would take, up to a year to complete that amendment.
Okay. Thank you. That was just my
Because then
question.
summer falls in there too, and you've got to hit it, during the prime time.
All right, thank you. Oh, I guess he's deferring to me. Mr. Mayor, you got anything, or are you ready for a motion? Through the mayor, I move to adopt a resolution adopting the Safe Routes to School plan.
Second.
All right, first and second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
And unanimous. Thank you very much.